Well, joining us now to talk about the presidential race is Newhouse associate Dean Joel Kaplan. He's a political journalist and former writer for the Chicago Tribune. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. It's good to have you here.
Yes, it's a great time to be a political reporter.
Yes. So you've been to a lot of conventions. Can you kind of talk about the RNC that you just left?
It was kind of wild. It didn't go quite as scripted as planned, but I think the Republicans should have been happy with the way it ended, because I think Trump gave a very strong speech, at least for him.
And how was the atmosphere in there? You know, seeing Donald Trump, and how were the reactions?
The reaction was very good. You know, there was so much anger and divisiveness during the primary season. You thought that there would be some split, but there really wasn't, except for with Ted Cruz. And even his supporters let him know that they weren't very happy with him. I will say, though, that I've been to a lot of conventions and seen them, and this was the least minority-infused convention I've ever seen. And there were more minority reporters covering it than there were delegates or visitors.
And can you kind of talk about, with these conventions, usually everyone's in support with the nominee. Were you shocked with Ted Cruz?
Not shocked, because, you know, if you've been paying attention to the primary race, you know that there was a lot of ill feelings between the two of them, as well with others like Kasich and with the Bushes. But Cruz used it as an opportunity to kind of set himself apart, hoping that Trump will implode during the general so that he is the hero of the conservatives.
And how do you think the RNC has set the stage for the DNC coming up this week?
Well, you know, it's back-to-back conventions are rare, not totally unusual, but they're relatively rare. And I think the DNC is very smart. They're playing off of that. Already you saw it today. It's like the Republicans were kind of dark, and oh my God, the world's falling apart, and we're the only ones who can come here and fix it. And the Democrats are saying, no, that's not true. Things aren't as bad as they look, and we're the ones who can fix it together. And Tim Kaine is kind of like the happy warrior, like Hubert Humphrey was in 1968.
Could you kind of talk about that, Hillary Clinton's announcement with VP Tim Kaine?
Yes, I think that, you know, if you would have asked people a year ago who is Hillary Clinton going to pick, it would have been Tim Kaine. And sure enough, she picked Tim Kaine.
A lot of people are saying that he's a safe pick. Why are people saying he's safe?
Because he's a moderate Democrat. People thought that maybe she was going to go all in and pick someone like Elizabeth Warren or Tom Perez. But he gets along very well with his Republican colleagues in the Senate. He actually was a former chair of the Democratic National Committee. Speaks Spanish fluently, as we saw today. So I think he is a safe pick in terms of for Hillary Clinton. And also I think she thinks he can govern. And I think that's very important when it comes to her choice, because she is, like Trump, in her 70s.
And I have to ask you before you go, the DNC, the hacked emails.
Yes.
You know, how this is kind of setting a dark tone going into the DNC, and is the right word uncomfortable for Bernie Sanders?
Well, I think the right word is that Bernie Sanders is going to say he was right. The fix was in. I mean, I think the leaked emails show, and it's not surprising that the DNC was favoring Hillary Clinton. That became very obvious. But now it's the proof that they were favoring him. And so I think that will be tough. It will be very interesting to see how Bernie Sanders handles it going forward.
Okay. All right. Joel, thank you so much for joining us. That was great. Thank you. All right. Coming up in sports,